My former boyfriend and his 3 closest friends are currently social pariahs, completely exiled from our broader friend group and facing utter humiliation. They lost their relationships, their dignity, and their carefully crafted good guy reputations in a single devastating evening at a packed upscale restaurant. For over a year, they had been secretly evaluating, ranking, and mocking the women in their lives on a highly detailed shared spreadsheet, treating us like expendable commodities. They thought they were the untouchable judges of our worth. They had absolutely no idea that the 4 women they were manipulating had quietly discovered their secret, joined forces, and orchestrated the most surgically precise, humiliating public execution of their egos imaginable. To understand how a hidden group chat dismantled 4 men's lives simultaneously, we have to go back to a quiet Tuesday evening in my apartment. I had been dating my boyfriend Mark for 2 years. Our relationship felt stable, mature, and deeply trusting. I have never been the jealous type. I firmly believe that privacy is the foundation of a healthy partnership, so I never snooped, never asked for his passwords, and never felt the urge to scroll through his direct messages. That absolute, blind trust is exactly what made the betrayal so visceral. It was a normal evening. Mark had just stepped into the shower and my phone had completely died. I was expecting an important email from a client, so I grabbed Mark's iPad from the coffee table, knowing his devices were all synced. I just needed to open the browser for 10 seconds. But when I unlocked the screen, the messaging app was open, and a notification popped up from a group chat titled, The Board of Directors. It was Mark and his 3 best friends, David, Chris, and Alex. I wouldn't have looked twice if the preview of the message hadn't caught my eye. It was from Chris and it read, I updated the master sheet. Jasmine's domestic score took a hit this week. My stomach tightened. I didn't want to look, but my intuition was screaming at me. I tapped the notification. The chat was filled with a constant stream of vile, degrading banter, but pinned at the very top of the conversation was a link to a Google Sheet. I clicked it. The document opened, and the title at the top read, GF Performance Evaluations Fiscal Year. My blood ran completely cold. It was a literal spreadsheet. Down the left side were the names of the 4 girlfriends. Me, Chloe, Jasmine, and Nicole. Across the top were categories: looks, cooking, loyalty, tolerance for BS, and a final heavily weighted column titled, Performance in Bed. Every single one of us had a numerical score out of 5. Complete with detailed, color-coded notes. I scanned the rows, my heart hammering against my ribs. I found my name. I was ranked dead last. My overall score was a 1.8. The comments section beside my name felt like a physical blow. Mark, the man who told me he loved me every single morning, had written paragraphs dissecting my flaws. He wrote that I talked too much about my career, that I was too hard to impress, and that he could definitely upgrade to a higher tier soon. But the worst part was the final column. Next to my name he had written, Total starfish. Just lays there. Solid 1/5. It was a complete, fabricated lie, written specifically to perform for his friends and stroke his own ego. And his friends chimed in, replying to his notes with laughing emojis and mocking comments about my body. I sat there in the silence of the living room, listening to the shower running down the hall. I read the evaluations of the other women. Chloe, David's girlfriend, got a 3.1. David's note next to her name read, Placeholder. Keeping her around until something better comes along, but she pays for half the rent. Jasmine, Chris's girlfriend, got a 3.4. Chris wrote, Cooks well but getting clingy. She's lucky I even gave her a chance. Nicole, Alex's girlfriend, got a 3.2. Her note read, Amazing in bed but her voice is annoying. Good for right now. I read these horrific, objectifying comments about women they claimed to love. For over a year, these 4 men had been sitting across from us at dinner parties, smiling to our faces, kissing our foreheads, and then secretly retreating to this chat to tear us down to decimals. The shower turned off. I had a choice to make in a fraction of a second. I could scream. I could confront him right there, throw the iPad at his chest and pack my bags crying. But looking at that spreadsheet, something inside me shifted. The sadness evaporated, instantly replaced by a cold, calculating clarity. If I confronted him now, he would panic, delete the spreadsheet, gaslight me, and warn his friends. I would be the crazy, snooping girlfriend, and the other women would never know the truth. I didn't get mad. I got strategic. I quickly took screenshots of every single page of the spreadsheet. I screenshotted the worst of their group chat messages. I airdropped all the evidence to my laptop, permanently deleted the airdrop history from his iPad, closed the app and set the tablet back on the coffee table exactly where I found it. When Mark walked out of the bathroom towel drying his hair, I looked up and smiled. "Shower feel good?" I asked, my voice perfectly steady. "Yeah, amazing," he smiled back, walking over and kissing the top of my head. "You're the best." "I know," I replied. I spent the next 2 days acting like the perfect, oblivious girlfriend. But behind the scenes I was doing background research. Because Mark and his friends like to keep their friend groups slightly separated. Us girlfriends only knew each other casually from a few awkward holiday parties. We weren't close. But we were about to be. On Thursday at 1 a.m. when I knew Mark was asleep, I found Chloe, Jasmine and Nicole on Instagram. I created a private group chat with just the 4 of us. My opening message was simple. "I know we don't know each other well and this is going to sound insane, but I found something on Mark's phone that you all need to see." I sent the screenshots. For 5 minutes the chat was completely silent. I could see the typing bubbles appearing and disappearing as the shock registered. Then the messages flooded in. It was a mixture of devastation, disbelief and rage. We jumped on a quiet FaceTime call at 2 a.m. These were women I barely knew and yet we were instantly bonded by this shared trauma. Chloe was crying softly. Jasmine kept repeating, "I knew it. I knew something was off." Nicole was pacing her apartment, furious. Someone suggested we just dump them the next day, block their numbers and move on. "No," I said, stopping the conversation. "If we just dump them they'll spin the narrative. They'll tell everyone we were crazy. They'll protect each other's reputations. They graded us like we were performing animals. We are not just going to walk away. We are going to make them feel the exact belittlement and powerlessness they put us through." Over the next week our group chat became a war room. We realized that if they were lying about this, they were lying about other things. We started comparing notes. The facade crumbled entirely. By cross-referencing their boys' night out stories, Jasmine realized her boyfriend, Chris, had been secretly texting his ex the entire time they were together. Nicole realized her boyfriend, Alex, had a separate hidden Instagram account he used exclusively to DM local college girls. The spreadsheet wasn't just a joke. It was a symptom of their absolute disrespect for women. We formulated a plan. The boyfriends had been talking about doing a big group dinner to celebrate Chris getting a minor promotion at his tech company. We happily encouraged it. We offered to make the reservation. We booked a large circular booth right in the center of the most expensive, upscale steakhouse in the city for a Saturday night. When Saturday arrived, the 4 of us showed up looking absolutely incredible. We were dressed to the nines, completely flawless. The men were thrilled. They sat at the table, ordering the most expensive cuts of Wagyu beef, top-shelf bourbon, and imported wine, completely oblivious to the trap that was snapping shut around them. Throughout the dinner they were their usual arrogant selves. They made inside jokes, they talked over us, and they subtly glanced at each other with those smug, knowing looks. I sat next to Mark, holding his hand, smiling sweetly as he ordered his second $50 glass of whiskey. We waited until the plates were cleared and the restaurant was packed to capacity. The noise level was a low, sophisticated hum. I caught Nicole's eye across the table. She nodded. It was time. I picked up my water glass and tapped it with my spoon. The sharp clinking sound cut through the chatter of our table. The boys looked at me, expecting me to give a toast to Chris's promotion. Instead, I reached down into my designer bag and pulled out 4 thick, pristine white manila envelopes. "Since we are celebrating milestones tonight," I said, my voice projecting clearly over the table, "we thought it was the perfect time for our quarterly performance reviews." Mark chuckled, a confused smirk on his face. "What are you talking about?" I handed an envelope to Mark. Chloe handed one to David. Jasmine slid hers to Chris. Nicole tossed hers onto Alex's lap. "Go ahead," I said calmly. "Open them." The men opened the envelopes. Inside each one was a full-color printed copy of their master spreadsheet. But that wasn't all. We had added a second page to each of their files. It was our own evaluation of them, complete with the printed screenshots of Chris texting his ex, and the printouts of Alex's secret Instagram DMs. The physical reaction was instantaneous. Mark's smug smile vanished, replaced by an expression of pure, suffocating horror. The blood completely drained from David's face. Chris dropped his envelope on the table as if it were on fire. The silence at our table was incredibly loud. You ranked me a 1.8 in loyalty, Mark, I said, my tone icy, professional, and entirely devoid of emotion. My voice was just loud enough to make the two neighboring tables stop talking and turn to look at us. But your own evaluation notes fail to mention that you are a deeply insecure, manipulative liar who relies on a spreadsheet to feel like a man. Babe, wait, let me explain. This was just a stupid joke, Mark stammered, his hands actually shaking as he tried to grab my arm. I pulled my arm back sharply. Do not touch me. Jasmine looked dead at Chris. A 3.4? And I'm lucky you gave me a chance? You've been begging your ex to take you back for 6 months, Chris. She sent me the screenshots this morning. Chris looked like he was going to vomit. We didn't yell. We didn't cause a hysterical scene. We didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing us cry. We delivered our verdicts with the cold, detached professionalism of corporate executives firing incompetent interns. Your final scores have been calculated, I told the 4 men, who were now paralyzed with embarrassment as half the restaurant watched them sweat. And unfortunately, your performance has been deemed pathetic. You are all officially terminated. Effective immediately. In perfect unison, the 4 of us stood up from the table. We picked up our purses. Oh, and one more thing, Nicole added, looking down at the massive empty plates of Wagyu and the empty whiskey glasses. The bill is entirely yours. Consider it a severance package. We turned our backs and walked out of the restaurant together, our heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. We left them sitting there in the dead center of the dining room, holding physical evidence of their own cruelty, staring at a $1,500 bill, with an entire audience of onlookers whispering about them. By the time they paid and scrambled to their cars, we had already blocked their numbers across every platform. We forwarded the spreadsheet and the cheating evidence to the broader friend group. The social fallout was absolute. They tried to play the victims, but hard evidence is impossible to argue with. They were ostracized, their reputations permanently destroyed by their own recorded words. Disrespect thrives in the shadows, fueled by the assumption that women will stay silent to avoid causing a scene. But when you treat human beings like disposable data points on a spreadsheet, you shouldn't be surprised when they audit your life, expose your deficits, and permanently liquidate your assets.